That morning, sunlight streamed through Nadia's bedroom window. She was in her mid-30s and had just recovered from a mild illness, still a little weak. But her face lit up when she heard the cheerful voice of her 12-year-old daughter, Rania. "Mom, get up. I made toast," Rania called out, grinning proudly. Nadia smiled softly. "Wow, my little chef. Who did you learn that from?" "Huh. From your cooking videos on your phone," Rania giggled. It was a simple scene, but one that marked the harmony between them. Even though it was just the two of them, her husband worked out of town, they'd grown used to leaning on each other. The day went by as usual. Nadia worked from home, occasionally checking her phone for work messages, while Rania busied herself with her sketchbook and the family cat. Nothing unusual happened. Nothing disturbing. By evening, Nadia sat on the porch, sipping warm tea. Rania snuggled up against her shoulder. "Mom," Rania said quietly, "if someday I do something weird, you'll still love me, right?" Nadia paused for a moment before wrapping her arms around her daughter. "No matter what, I'll always love you. Always." Rania gave a small smile, but her eyes held something unusual. That night, Nadia brushed it off as just an innocent child's question. Later, while Nadia slept, Rania stayed awake in her room. The desk lamp cast a soft glow on her face as she stared at a notebook with a key drawn on the cover. On the first page, she wrote with a pencil, "If Mom doesn't understand, I'll make her understand." Her expression was serious, completely different from the innocent smile she'd worn the afternoon. The next morning, Nadia woke up feeling more energetic. From the kitchen came the smell of simple fried rice, another meal made by Rania. "You're getting pretty handy around here, kiddo. Maybe I can just take a day off and you run the house," Nadia joked. Rania laughed softly, but her eyes didn't sparkle. She looked down and murmured, "I have to take care of you, no matter what." Nadia frowned. "What do you mean?" But Rania quickly changed the subject, inviting her mom to eat together and talk about school. Nadia dismissed the unease, thinking it was just a sweet remark from her little girl. That night, as Nadia reached for her phone to check work messages, she noticed it wasn't on the bedside table where it always was. She glanced toward Rania's room. Through the slightly ajar door, the glow of a screen was visible. Sighing, Nadia assumed Rania was just playing a game, but she had no idea Rania was opening something far more serious, something that would change their relationship forever. Behind the door, Rania stared at the phone screen with determination. She opened a folder of voice memos containing recordings of conversations between her and Nadia. Why did she keep these recordings? Rania whispered to herself, her fingers trembling as she played one. Nadia's voice came through clearly. "I just want you to understand. Don't be too hard on yourself." Rania bit her lip and shut it off, her face a mixture of confusion and hidden thoughts she couldn't bring herself to say out loud. The next morning, Nadia noticed her phone was back on the bedside table, as if nothing had happened. "Rania, did you look at my phone last night?" she asked while making breakfast. Rania glanced up briefly and gave a faint smile. "I just borrowed it for a bit. Mom, it's okay, right?" Nadia nodded hesitantly. "Yeah, just ask next time. Don't sneak around." Rania didn't respond, only looked down, stirring her tea. The breakfast felt strange, like an invisible distance had appeared between them. That afternoon, while Nadia rested in her room, she heard the sound of a door being locked from outside. She got up and tried the handle, but it wouldn't budge. "Rania, did you lock this?" Nadia called out. No answer, only the sound of small footsteps retreating. Nadia froze, her heart starting to race. Was this just a childish prank? Or something more serious? She sat on the edge of the bed, trying to calm herself. Maybe Rania would open the door soon. 5 minutes passed. The door remained locked. Outside, she heard the little footsteps return, then Rania's calm, even voice. Mom, just rest in your room. It's better this way. Nadia's voice trembled. Why, sweetheart? I'm fine. Please open the door. Silence. The lock clicked, confirming the door was secure. Night fell. The lamp in Nadia's room stayed on, but sleep wouldn't come. She could hear the scratching of a pencil on paper, Rania writing something. Nadia hugged herself, trembling. Something had changed in Rania, and she had no idea why. Rania whispered, as if speaking to someone unseen. I've locked Mom. Now she's safe, right? Nadia's heart pounded. She wanted to ask, who are you talking to? But couldn't. Seconds later, Rania continued, calm but resolute. Don't worry. I know what I have to do. Mom can't leave until I'm sure everything's right. The next morning, when the door finally opened, Rania walked in carrying breakfast on a tray. Her smile was sweet, as if nothing had happened. Good morning, Mom. You need to eat so you get better, she said, setting the tray down. Nadia tried to smile, but her mind raced. Rania, why did you lock Mom in a room last night? Rania looked at her mother and answered simply, because you're safer inside. No other explanation. Nadia realized something big was being hidden by her own daughter. She stared at Rania's face, still smiling, but the smile felt strange, like a mask hiding something. Safe from what? Honey? Nadia asked cautiously. Rania just shrugged. Don't worry, Mom. Just stay in your room. I'll take care of everything. As Rania left, Nadia immediately checked her phone. To her horror, several important files, photos, messages, even work notes were gone, erased as if deliberately. Her heart raced. Did Rania do this, and why? That night, the pencil scratching returned, accompanied by a soft murmur. If Mom doesn't understand, I'll have to make her understand. It's the only way. Nadia held her breath. This wasn't a game. It wasn't a prank. Rania was hiding a plan. She whispered to herself, what's happening to you, Rania? What are you keeping from me? For the first time, Nadia felt that the sense of safety in her home was slipping away. That afternoon, Nadia tried to stand up to grab her phone from the bedside table. But as soon as she moved, Rania appeared in the doorway, her eyes sharp, calculating. Mom, don't touch my phone, she said, calm but firm. Nadia swallowed hard. Rania, why? I just wanted to check a work message. Rania stepped forward, slowly closing the door behind her, her tone cold. If you use the phone now, everything will be messed up. You need to stay here until I say it's okay. Nadia froze, her heart racing. A strange mix of fear, confusion, and worry bubbled up inside her. Her daughter had changed into someone she barely recognized. Rania, sweetie, this is serious. I'm sick, sure, but I can still move and talk. I don't understand what you mean, Nadia said, her voice trembling. Rania leaned in slightly, studying her mom in silence, then said firmly, if you don't trust me, you'll understand soon enough. Believe me, it's for our own good. A chill ran down Nadia's spine. She tried to stay calm, but a small voice inside her screamed something big was happening, and she had no idea how to deal with her own daughter. And that is when Nadia realized the peaceful routine she'd taken for granted had changed. Her home and the child she loved was no longer the same. She sat on the edge of the bed, clutching her now cooling cup of tea, her mind racing. How could Rania be so calm, so deliberate? Suddenly, a soft knock came at the bedroom window. Nadia turned quickly, heart pounding, but no one was outside. When she looked back at Rania, the girl was standing by the desk, expressionless. Mom, you need to stay here. Don't go anywhere. I've got everything ready, she said. Nadia swallowed again. The fatigue she'd just recovered from felt heavy now. Her body felt weak, trapped by the tension and fear that seemed to fill the entire house. Rania, I want to understand. Please? Why does it have to be like this? Nadia's voice quivered, almost breaking. Rania looked down for a moment, then met her mom's gaze, flat and unwavering. If you really want to know, you'll have to wait. You can't leave this room until I say so. Trust me, Mom. Nadia gripped the blanket, trembling. One terrifying thought hit her. Whatever Rania had planned, her motherly control was gone. Inside, Nadia knew this was only the beginning of a challenge that would test their bond, and maybe make her question everything she thought she knew about her daughter. That afternoon, Nadia tried to steady her breathing. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring around a room that now felt like a labyrinth with no exit. A light knock came at the door. This time, it wasn't Rania, just a small note slipped through the crack. Nadia carefully picked it up. In Rania's neat handwriting, it read, Mom, you have to stay in your room. Don't try to open the door until I say. This is for both of us. Trust me. Nadia clutched the note tightly. Her body was weak, but curiosity burned in her mind. What did it all mean? How could Rania be so grown up in her planning? Hours passed, and the pressure only grew. Every little step Nadia took, every move she made, felt watched. Rania appeared several times, always staring in a way that made Nadia's heart pound. Pride, confusion, and fear all mixed together. Mom, don't go too far. You need to stay here, Rania said again, her tone soft but firm. There was a decisiveness there that couldn't be argued with. Nadia looked down, trembling. She realized one terrifying thing. Not only was her body restrained, but her mind was slowly being controlled by her own child's will. That night, Nadia lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, eyes wide open. She knew whatever happened tomorrow, her life would never be the same. And the real test was just beginning. The next morning, Nadia sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the note Rania had left the night before. Every word pressed against her mind, as if her daughter could read her fears and doubts. How can I understand your intentions, Rania? If you won't talk, Nadia whispered, almost lost to herself. Rania appeared from the doorway, carrying her sketchbook and colored pencils. She sat on the floor, meticulously arranging something. Mom, you need to see this, Rania said, holding up a drawing that at first looked like a random doodle. But when Nadia looked closer, she realized each drawing was a diagram, rules, schedules, a manual of sorts for how Rania wanted to manage her mom in the room. Rania, why? I just want to get better and help us stay happy, Nadia said, trying to keep her voice steady. Rania stared at her without blinking. Mom doesn't understand when she moves freely. You might get tired, forget important things. I just want everything to run safely and orderly. Nadia took a deep breath. She felt caught between awe and fear, awed by her daughter's intelligence, afraid of the control Rania now wielded. That night, Nadia sat at Rania's desk, studying the diagrams and notes filled with rules. One thing became clear. Rania wasn't just playing or being cute. She had an actual plan, and her mother was part of it. Her heart raced. For the first time, Nadia realized she would have to face her daughter not just as a mother, but as someone who had to understand and navigate the mind of a brilliant and mysterious child. Nadia closed Rania's notebook and took a deep breath. Sitting still wouldn't be enough. She needed to figure out what her daughter was really thinking while keeping herself safe. All right, Mom, she whispered to herself, stay calm and think. That afternoon, Nadia began to watch Rania's every move. When she wrote notes, when she locked doors, how she managed the household. Every action was observed secretly, like a detective studying an opponent. If I can understand her plan, I can adjust without causing conflict, Nadia thought. But Rania seemed to read her every move. Whenever Nadia tried to sneak a peek at the notebook, Rania would appear suddenly, looking at her with eyes that gave nothing away. "Mom, don't touch that. You have to follow the rules," Rania said, calm but firm. Nadia exhaled, stifling her frustration. She realized something. For the first time, dealing with her daughter wasn't about giving orders or advice, it was about strategy, observation, and patience. That night, Nadia wrote in her own journal. Every small observation, every word from Rania, every fear and admiration she felt. And for the first time, she realized something important. Rania wasn't her enemy. She was a teacher, showing her mother a new perspective through a tense, unnerving lens. The next morning, Nadia watched Rania at the desk, focused on her drawings. She felt the pressing dilemma: follow Rania's rules completely, or try for a little freedom to maintain control over her own life. "If I break the rules, what will happen?" Nadia murmured. "But if I obey, do I lose myself?" Rania looked up, as if reading her thoughts, then said, calm but determined, "Mom, everything I do is for our good. You have to trust me." Nadia exhaled, trying to steady herself. She knew every decision would affect their relationship. One small mistake could make Rania retreat further or do something even more extreme. Nadia sat on the edge of the bed, staring at Rania's scattered notes. Her heart raced, but a sense of determination was starting to take hold. She needed to figure out how to face her daughter's plan without destroying their relationship. "All right, Mom," Nadia whispered to herself. "I have to stay calm, understand, and plan my next moves carefully." That afternoon, she began observing Rania's behavior patterns. Every move, every word, even the way Rania arranged books and toys, became a crucial clue. Nadia took mental notes quietly, building a strategy in her mind. "If I can understand her thought process, I can adjust my moves," Nadia muttered. "Not to fight her, but to keep us safe and in harmony." But Rania always seemed one step ahead. Every time Nadia tried to approach the notes or her phone, Rania would appear calmly, staring with an emotionless gaze that tested her mother's composure. "Mom, don't touch that. You need to follow the rules," Rania said curtly, firm but soft. That night, Nadia sat on the bed, realizing her first goal was clear: fully understand Rania's plan, while finding a safe way to maintain some freedom and make her own decisions. She knew this journey wouldn't be easy. Every step would be blocked by Rania's determination, and every decision had to be carefully weighed. This was no longer a game, but a real test between mother and daughter. The next day, Nadia tried to follow her strategy, observing and taking notes on Rania's behavior while looking for small opportunities to move. But she quickly encountered her first serious obstacle. Rania had placed all the important items near the study desk, creating a sort of visual barrier that made it hard for Nadia to approach. Even Nadia's phone, usually by the bedside, was now on a high shelf, as if deliberately testing her patience. "Mom, don't get too close. You need to stay here." Rania's voice came from the corner, enforcing the boundaries she had set. Nadia drew a deep breath. Frustration was mounting, but she knew she needed to find a creative way to face this obstacle without triggering Rania's anger. Throughout the day, Nadia tried various approaches, speaking gently, observing, even slowly reaching for a crucial note. But Rania was always one step ahead, her cold, calculating eyes never leaving her mother. "If Mom isn't patient, everything will fail," Rania muttered, as if reading Nadia's mind. That night, Nadia sat on the bed writing in her journal. She began to understand one thing. The challenges she faced weren't just physical, they were psychological. Every rule Rania had set was designed to test her patience, attention, and strategy. And Nadia knew this was only the first hurdle. More challenges lay ahead, and she needed to be ready to face them to achieve her goal: understanding Rania while staying safe. The following morning, Nadia felt drained before the day even began. Every small step in the room felt tested by Rania's rules. Even the way Rania arranged chairs, books, and toys seemed like a labyrinth to navigate carefully. Rania appeared carrying a breakfast tray. She placed it on a small table and looked at her mother with unwavering determination. "Mom, you need to eat here. Don't stand up too long. I have arranged everything so you'll be safe," Rania said flatly. But with a weight that pressed on Nadia's mind, Nadia swallowed, holding back her frustration. She realized that every obstacle Rania created was not just physical, it was psychological. Every movement had to be calculated, every decision measured. That afternoon, Nadia tried to study Rania's notes for deeper patterns. But Rania seemed to anticipate her. Every time Nadia glanced at a page, Rania would turn at just the right moment, her gaze impossible to ignore. "Mom, don't rush. You have to be patient," she said. Nadia looked down, feeling the pressure, but beginning to understand her daughter's intent. These obstacles were Rania's way of teaching discipline, precision, and patience even if it felt extreme for a mother. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "This is harder than I imagined. But I have to stay calm. Every challenge Rania sets tests my patience, and I have to get through it without harming our relationship." She exhaled, knowing the next hurdle would be even harder, and every move had to be carefully planned. The next morning brought a new kind of pressure. Not just physical rules or notes, but an emotional weight that made Nadia feel cornered. Every glance from Rania, every word spoken, seemed to test her mother's resolve. "Mom, don't worry. You need to stay calm and here," Rania said, sitting close and staring without blinking. Nadia swallowed. She wanted to be angry, but she also felt a pang of sympathy for her daughter, who cared so much even if her methods were extreme. "Rania, honey, I want to understand, but I felt trapped," Nadia said softly, her voice trembling. Rania looked down briefly, then scribbled something in her notebook and handed the page to Nadia. "Mom, you have to trust me. This is for both of us. You'll understand if you're patient." Nadia exhaled slowly. One thing became clear. The biggest challenge wasn't the notes or rules, but her own emotions, fear, confusion, and the desire to protect her child. That afternoon, Nadia tried a new approach, speaking gently while following some rules, noting Rania's patterns without creating tension. Yet every move she made drew Rania's watchful gaze, exerting real psychological pressure. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, recording every fear, admiration, and confusion she felt. She knew the emotional obstacles were just the beginning, and the next tests would be even harsher, challenging her physical stamina, mental strength, and the bond they shared. The following morning, Nadia felt a different kind of pressure. Rania controlled every aspect of her day. When she could drink, when she had to sit, even when she could touch her phone. Every movement was monitored, every word noted. "Mom, don't get up too quickly. You need to stay here," Rania said, her eyes sharp and calculating. Nadia swallowed. Her body was tired, but her mind had to stay focused. For the first time, she faced the hardest challenge yet, confronting a brilliant, determined daughter without causing conflict. Throughout the day, Nadia followed some rules while searching for small openings to move and breathe. But Rania seemed to read every motion, always one step ahead, reinforcing her control without anger or force. "Mom, if you're patient and follow the rules, everything will be fine. Don't go off track," Rania said calmly but firmly. That night, Nadia sat on the bed, exhaling deeply. One thing was clear. Today demanded courage, perseverance, and the hardest decisions she'd ever had to make, choices that would determine their relationship and the course of their lives. In the quiet, Nadia felt the tension peak. She knew that tomorrow, all her strategy, patience, and understanding would be tested to the limit and there was no turning back. That morning, Nadia sat on the edge of the bed, watching Rania busily writing in her notebook. Her heart pounded. She knew this was the moment she had to make one final decision: follow her daughter's rules completely, or take a little freedom for her own health and well-being. "Mom, you need to stay here. Don't get up until I say so," Rania said, her eyes full of determination. Nadia swallowed and took a deep breath. The choice was heavy. Following Rania completely would keep their relationship harmonious, but it would restrict her. Taking a little freedom meant risking disappointment or conflict. That afternoon, Nadia studied Rania's notes and behavior patterns. She weighed every possibility, every step, every move, every word she might say. Her heart raced. Finally, taking a long breath, Nadia spoke softly. "Rania, sweetie, I want to follow some of your rules, but I also need a little space to breathe. Can we try it together?" Rania stared at her mother for a long moment. Seconds stretched like hours. Nadia's heart raced. This was the decisive moment. Would they stay connected through trust and understanding? Or would the pressure and rules drive them apart? That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "This is the hardest choice I've ever made, but I know courage and understanding are the only ways to keep our bond intact." Deep in her heart, Nadia knew one thing: tomorrow, the outcome of this choice would shape their future. There was no turning back. The next day, Nadia felt the tension even more keenly. She followed some of Rania's rules while taking a little freedom for herself. Every movement and word now felt like a real test of their relationship. Rania stared at her mother, eyes sharp but not angry. "Mom, you're trying to follow the rules, but you also want a little freedom. Do you really understand?" she asked softly. Nadia offered a thin smile, holding her breath. She knew the consequences of her choice would unfold slowly. Rania might feel disappointed, or she might begin to understand her mother's bravery and sincerity. That afternoon, Nadia moved a little more freely, taking her tea and medications herself while keeping eye contact with Rania. Every motion felt like a delicate dance, balancing obedience with autonomy. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "This choice carries real consequences, but I'm starting to see something reassuring. Rania is learning to understand me too. The tension is slowly turning into understanding." She exhaled deeply, realizing an important truth. This difficult choice hadn't destroyed their relationship. It had opened the door to mutual understanding and stronger trust. The next morning, Nadia sat on the edge of the bed, smiling faintly at Rania. She realized her daughter was beginning to allow room for compromise. "Rania, sweetie, I'm glad we can understand each other. We can try doing this together, not controlling each other," Nadia said gently. Rania looked at her mother for a long moment, then smiled. "Mom, I want you to feel comfortable too. I don't want you to feel trapped. We can try to meet in the middle," she replied warmly. That afternoon, they started cooperating. Nadia followed some of Rania's rules, but was given small freedoms to move and make decisions. Every step felt like a graceful dance, full of respect and understanding. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today was a turning point. The tension is easing, and we found a way to work together. This isn't about winning or losing, it's about understanding each other and protecting each other's hearts." She breathed deeply, feeling relief. For the first time in weeks of pressure, Nadia felt calm and warmly connected to her daughter. The following day, Nadia and Rania started organizing their activities more flexibly. Nadia followed some of Rania's rules, but Rania now began allowing her mother to make some decisions herself. "Mom, today you can pick an activity you like, but we'll still follow some rules," Rania said with a smile. Nadia's eyes sparkled. "Thank you, sweetie. I'm glad we can trust each other," she said warmly. Throughout the day, They adjusted to each other's rhythms. Nadia moved more freely, while Rania ensured safety and order. Every step felt like a newly discovered harmony, far from the tension they'd felt before. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today we learned to respect each other. I'm starting to understand Rania's perspective, and she's learning to trust me. This cooperation brings us closer than ever." Her heart trembled warmly. Nadia realized that understanding and collaboration were the keys to facing any challenge, even the toughest ones. The next morning, Nadia and Rania began with simple tasks, tidying up the room together. But even these small acts became exercises in respect and cooperation. "Mom, can you help me put my books on the top shelf?" Rania asked with a gentle smile. Nadia smiled, carefully lifting the books. "Of course, sweetie. We'll do it together," she said warmly. Throughout the day, they faced other small challenges, choosing breakfast, arranging toys, even deciding which movie to watch first. Every decision required compromise and attentive listening, but this time, they did it calmly and with understanding. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I learned that even small challenges can strengthen our bond. Rania is learning to give space, and I'm learning patience. We understand and respect each other more each day." Her heart was full of warmth. Nadia realized that no challenge was too big if faced with understanding, cooperation, and sincere love. The next morning, Nadia felt a subtle but strong emotional connection. Rania sat nearby, looking slightly anxious. "Mom, I'm afraid you might feel stressed from all this," Rania said softly. Nadia took her daughter's hand. "Sweetie, I'm happy to be with you. Yes, there's some pressure, but I've learned so much from all of this. We can support each other," she said, smiling. Throughout the day, they faced emotional challenges, understanding each other's feelings, restraining egos, and expressing care through gentle words and actions. Every smile, every word of understanding strengthened their bond. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I learned that facing emotional challenges together makes us closer. Rania is learning to trust me, and I'm learning to understand her feelings. Our bond is warmer and stronger." Her heart felt light and peaceful. Nadia realized that any obstacle, big or small, could become a bridge to strengthen their connection if approached with understanding and love. The next morning, Nadia and Rania began with warm smiles. They started building a balanced routine. Some of Rania's rules were followed, but Nadia was given room to move and make decisions herself. "Mom, can we choose what to do after breakfast today?" Rania asked, eyes bright. Nadia smiled. "Of course, sweetie. We'll decide together," she said warmly. Throughout the day, they engaged in simple activities, reading together, tidying up, even watching their favorite movie while joking around. Every moment felt like practice in building harmony, patience, and mutual respect. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I realized that creating a harmonious routine brings us closer. We're learning to understand each other without forcing our will, and it brings a wonderful sense of peace." Her heart was full of joy. Nadia knew this routine wasn't just about rules or freedom, it was about maintaining balance and a healthy mother-daughter relationship. The next morning, Nadia and Rania started by tidying up and preparing breakfast. Even small choices like picking a breakfast menu or arranging toys became opportunities to compromise. "Mom, can we pick breakfast together? I want to try something new today," Rania said, smiling shyly. Nadia smiled warmly. "Of course, sweetie. We'll pick together," she replied, feeling the deep warmth of their growing bond. Throughout the day, they handled other small challenges, choosing the order of activities, sharing room chores, and picking a movie to watch. Every decision required communication and patience, but this time, they did it calmly and with understanding. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today, Small challenges actually brought us closer. We learned to listen, respect, and work together without pressure. It gives a true sense of peace. Her heart was full of warmth. Nadia realized that even the smallest challenges could strengthen their bond and deepen their understanding. That morning, Nadia and Rania sat together in the living room, enjoying breakfast with light laughter. There were small giggles, warm smiles, and a comfort that had been hard to find before. "Mom, I'm glad we can do everything together now," Rania said, looking at her mother with bright eyes. Nadia smiled. "Heart warm. Me too, sweetie. It feels great to understand each other and work together without tension," she replied gently. Throughout the day, they continued strengthening their cooperation through simple tasks, tidying up, reading, and choosing music. Every moment felt harmonious, far from the stress and anxiety they'd felt weeks ago. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I felt real warmth. Cooperation and understanding bring us closer. This proves that patience and love can turn tension into peace." Her heart was full of gratitude. Nadia knew their relationship was now stable, harmonious, and ready to face the future with deeper understanding. That morning, Nadia sat on the edge of the bed, watching Rania get ready for school. Her heart was filled with gratitude and relief. All the tension, obstacles, and tests they'd faced felt like valuable lessons that had brought them closer. "Mom, thank you for being patient with me," Rania said, smiling warmly. Nadia smiled gently. "Mom thanks you too, sweetie. Everything we went through helped us understand each other better," she replied, feeling deep warmth in her heart. Throughout the day, Nadia reflected on their journey, the tension, the difficult choices, the obstacles, and finally, the cooperation and compromise that brought them here. She wrote in her journal, "Today I look back on our journey. Every test taught patience, understanding, and sincere love. I'm proud of both of us." That night, Nadia sat beside Rania, watching her daughter drift to sleep. She smiled quietly, realizing that this journey wasn't just about rules or freedom. It was about building trust, love, and understanding stronger than ever before. The next morning, Nadia sat in the living room, watching Rania get her school books ready. She smiled, realizing how far they had come since the start of their conflict. "Mom, I feel like we really understand each other now," Rania said, smiling. Nadia nodded warmly. "Yes, sweetie. Everything we've gone through has brought us closer and built trust. I'm proud of you," she replied gently. Throughout the day, they helped and supported each other, from preparing breakfast to completing small tasks together. Every simple activity reminded them that understanding and cooperation were stronger than any tension or obstacle. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I see the results of all our patience and effort. We learned that with understanding, communication, and love, any obstacle can be faced, and our relationship can remain harmonious." Her heart felt warm. Nadia knew the most important lesson of this journey was the power of understanding, cooperation, and unconditional love between mother and daughter. That morning, Nadia and Rania enjoyed breakfast together in a calm, warm atmosphere. There was no tension, no pressure, just togetherness and light laughter filling the kitchen. "Mom, it feels nice to have breakfast together without any worries," Rania said, smiling. Nadia returned the smile warmly. "Me too, sweetie. It feels peaceful when we understand each other and work together," she replied gently. Throughout the day, they carried out simple activities, tidying the room, reading together, and even sharing light jokes. Every moment felt harmonious, far from the tension of the past. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I realized that simple happiness can be the greatest gift. Harmony in our lives comes from patience, understanding, and genuine love." Her heart was warm and peaceful. Nadia knew that their life was now stable, full of trust, and ready to face the future with even deeper closeness. That morning, Nadia decided to surprise Rania with a special breakfast, her daughter's favorite meal. When Rania walked into the kitchen, her eyes lit up. "Mom, this is for me?" Rania asked, incredulous. Nadia smiled warmly. "Yes, sweetie. I wanted us to celebrate everything we've been through together," she replied gently. Throughout the day, they celebrated their success with simple but meaningful activities, playing board games, watching favorite movies, and sharing stories from their experiences. Laughter and smiles filled every moment, bringing genuine warmth and peace. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today we celebrated our journey. All the tests, challenges, and tough choices brought us closer. We learned that understanding and love can create true happiness." Her heart was full of gratitude. Nadia realized that building understanding wasn't just about rules or freedom, but about mutual respect, empathy, and celebrating togetherness. That morning, Nadia and Rania started the day with a new routine, greeting each other warmly, having breakfast together, and sharing plans for the day. This simple habit brought consistent peace into their lives. "Mom, I like starting the day calmly like this," Rania said, smiling. Nadia replied softly, "Me too, sweetie. It feels great to understand each other from the start of the day," she said warmly. Throughout the day, they reinforced positive habits. Nadia let Rania choose some activities, while Rania learned to respect her mother's choices. They reminded each other to stay patient, speak kindly, and honor each other's feelings. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I realized that positive habits strengthen our relationship. We learn to appreciate each other, and it gives a real sense of peace." Her heart was full of warmth. Nadia knew that with consistent habits and genuine understanding, their relationship would remain harmonious and loving every day. That morning, Nadia and Rania sat in the living room, enjoying warm breakfast. The atmosphere was calm and comfortable, far from the tension and confusion they had once known. "Mom, it feels peaceful today," Rania said, smiling. Nadia looked at her daughter warmly. "Yes, sweetie. I'm glad we can enjoy every moment without pressure," she replied gently. Throughout the day, they carried out simple activities together, tidying the room, reading, and chatting lightly about dreams and future plans. Every interaction felt natural and enjoyable, bringing a sense of safety and genuine happiness. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I realized that stability and happiness come from understanding and cooperation. We learn to appreciate each other, and that makes every day meaningful." Her heart was warm and peaceful. Nadia knew that their life was now stable, harmonious, and full of love, ready to face the future with deeper understanding. That morning, Nadia and Rania sat at the kitchen table, opening their family calendar and discussing plans for the upcoming weeks. They wanted to ensure each activity allowed them to understand and enjoy time together. "Mom, can we plan one day each week just for reading together?" Rania asked, smiling. Nadia nodded warmly. "Of course, sweetie. I want us to have special time to share stories and learn from each other," she replied gently. Throughout the day, they planned various activities, movie nights, board games, and small home projects. Every plan was made with compromise and understanding, ensuring both felt valued and heard. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today we learned to plan our future together in a harmonious way. We are understanding more and more how important it is to listen, respect, and love each other." Her heart was full of warmth. Nadia realized that planning activities together wasn't just about fun, but also about strengthening emotional bonds and creating beautiful memories with Rania. That morning, Nadia sat on the sofa, watching Rania write in her diary. Her heart was full of gratitude as she observed her daughter's growth and their now warm, understanding relationship. Mom, I'm glad we went through all of this together, Rania said, smiling sincerely. Nadia smiled gently, holding back tears of happiness. Me too, sweetie. It feels amazing to see us growing closer and understanding each other, she replied warmly. Throughout the day, they shared simple moments, light jokes, reading together, and enjoying the afternoon in the yard. Every second felt precious, as if all past tension had turned into memories that strengthened their bond. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I felt deep happiness. Everything we've gone through, from tests to compromises, has brought us to a place where understanding and love are the foundation of our relationship." Her heart was warm and peaceful. Nadia knew that true happiness comes from understanding, respecting, and sharing unconditional love. That morning, Nadia invited Rania to create a memory album from the past few weeks. They gathered photos, notes, and small items that held precious moments. "Mom, I want us to always remember these days," Rania said, placing a photo of them smiling together. Nadia smiled warmly and nodded. "Me too, sweetie. Every moment will remind us how important understanding and cooperation are," she replied gently. Throughout the day, they carefully arranged the album, laughing at funny moments and writing notes about life lessons they had learned. Each page became a symbol of closeness and harmony they had built together. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today we preserved our togetherness and life lessons. I realize that memories we create together are the greatest treasure we can have." Her heart was full of gratitude. Nadia knew that preserving these moments wasn't just about photos or notes. It was about appreciating the journey, learning from experiences, and keeping their bond warm and meaningful. That morning, Nadia sat at her study desk, looking at the album she and Rania had just made. She smiled, reminiscing every moment, the initial tension, tough choices, cooperation, compromises, and finally, the warm closeness. "Mom, look at this. We've been through so much, haven't we?" Rania said, pointing at the photos of them smiling. Nadia nodded gently. "Yes, sweetie. Everything we've gone through taught us so much: patience, understanding, and unconditional love," she replied warmly. Throughout the day, they reflected together, shared stories, and wrote notes about life lessons they had learned. They laughed, smiled, and felt the sincere warmth of a bond that was now closer and more stable than ever. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today I realized that our journey is the best teacher. All the tests and tough choices shaped us to be stronger, closer, and more loving." Her heart was full of peace. Nadia knew that this reflection confirmed how important patience, understanding, and love were in building a meaningful and harmonious relationship. That morning, Nadia and Rania sat in the yard, enjoying the warm sunlight. A peaceful atmosphere filled every corner of the house, bringing a calmness that had once felt so hard to reach. "Mom, I feel like we're stronger together now," Rania said, smiling sincerely. Nadia felt deep warmth in her heart. "Yes, sweetie. Everything we've gone through has shown us that understanding and love make us capable of facing any challenge," she replied gently. Throughout the day, they spent time happily, laughing at funny memories, reading favorite books together, and jotting down little notes about precious moments. Every second felt meaningful, as if confirming that their relationship was now not only harmonious, but deeply significant. That night, Nadia wrote in her journal, "Today marks the end of our long journey, but also the beginning of a warmer, more loving, and understanding life. I'm grateful for all the challenges that brought us here, and I know that true happiness comes from understanding and living without conditions." Her heart was full of peace. Nadia looked at Rania, who was starting to fall asleep beside her, and smiled quietly. She realized that their relationship was now unshakable, and this journey had taught them that love, Understanding and cooperation were the foundation of true happiness. Under the soft moonlight, they both fell asleep peacefully, marking a happy and serene ending to their long journey.